Doodle-doodle-doo. So it's a late night Monday, the last Monday of February 2023. I really thought that it was 2024 for the last 3 days. I'm not sure if I was time traveling or what was going on. I have been doing a lot of astrology work and a lot of readings and just trying to be getting caught up. I've got 2 more people left. For those of you who ordered like a full year reading or compatibility reading, Matthew is having surgery, so I'm trying to barrel through those on my own and then just kind of ask him things as we speak to fill them in. And then the full readings, it takes me a long time to get through them, I feel like. So hi, Brandy. Hi, Robert. Welcome, guys. All of you guys popping in. And thank you so much for joining me. I do have my tarot cards here with me, but it's not necessarily, as the heading would say for the video, to do free readings. I'm actually sitting here because I promised those of you, especially in the Gypsy tribe, that I would share that psychic intuitive process, the integration of spirituality into my daily life. And what does it mean to that word witch or more modern spirituality or divination or understanding any of that nonsense, right? What does it look like in application? So that's kind of what popping on here, even though I'm in my pajamas and I've got my, late night drink and I'm sitting here, this is my time to do the astrology prep for March. And so what does that even mean? A few things, if you've ever joined me before. One of the things that I do for divination is I love to have music going in the background. I love to have kind of a constant soundtrack. I feel like working in psychology, I often find people with a busy brain or overthinking, they do that. They like to have music going. And so I too like to have music kind of keeping my brain from having all sorts of intrusive thoughts, helps me dissociatively stream, compartmentalize. I go to my Pandora that I've had for 13 years and I turn on a song and then I turn the volume all the way down and I do shuffle all. And then I turn the volume all the way down so that it's not distracting me. And I can hear it just ever so lightly there. And I go and look at my astrological charts. I look at my calendars and I start filling in my Excel spreadsheet that I keep on my Google Drive that I share with everyone. So it's not Tuesday, said someone popping in, but this is my prep. I usually do it at the end of the month, whether it falls on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, it doesn't matter. But also because this upcoming week is going to circle into a new month, I don't have that done yet. So I'm going to be sitting there with, space and time to fill, not have any idea what I'm talking about. So the Virgo in me likes to prep monthly. So I do things in months. And so hi, Rebel. Hi, Steve, Steph, all of you guys, welcome. Pop in there and let me know, where are you joining me from? Where are you guys at? I'm in northern Minnesota. It's actually really nice outside tonight by being 30. Oh, I think it's 27 degrees. Ooh, my nose is itching. Someone's thinking about me. But I'm going to go over to my March. And I've got this Excel spreadsheet. And I basically have already gone through. It's grueling to watch a person do it. But to go through and be Wednesday, March 1st, Thursday, March 2nd, Friday, March 3rd. Fill it all in and go, okay, what's even happening? Farmer's Almanac, astrologically speaking, the very first day of the month. What is going to be happening? I look at that and I think, is there anything, I have the big bad voodoo daddies, like the full moons, the new moons, solstices, equinoxes, asteroids crashing through the sky. If we can predict it, of course. I kind of try and have that stuff written down so that we have an idea. Man, we've got Louisiana, Florida, North Carolina, South Carolina. Yes, Pennsylvania, Peninsula, Ohio, 70 miles west of East Palestine. Ooh, Tina, 70 miles is not far enough. How does that make you feel? Are you doing okay? Tell us how you're doing. But of course, not just Ohio, you guys, if you're going to be tuning into No Man's Land this Wednesday, there are so many and train derailments and things that happen all over the country. A lot of oil spills, they happen every day. It's really sad to know that and to see that. It's not always reported in the news, but if you check in, if you've ever worked with anyone who's like an OSHA person or a safety engineer or just interested in biological sciences and environmental safety, things like that. My brother, a field guy, lives in Ohio as well. and I have a lot of dear friends. I feel like I have a lot of really good friends that live in Ohio. And so when that kind of went down, immediately I was thinking, shite. And then also knowing and listening to some of the environmentalists talking about, chemical spills of that magnitude, they leach into the soil and into the air and into the water and into the environment. And it does absolutely radiate every other single living creature on this earth. Every single one of us will be affected. Even if it's a tiny little, or a big one, the influence will be there. So I think about those obviously with a closer proximity, hoping you're doing okay. But there's also things happening in California, in Texas, and North Carolina, Tennessee, big manufacturing, Brooklyn, Staten Island, all sorts of Michigan, rerouting of some of that soil from Ohio in the news, all sorts of crazy. So we're going to try and do our best to cover that on Wednesday. Told you I'd be bringing you in March. I ain't lying. But so I have the big guys written in already into the calendar. But March 1st, I'm looking at it. Nothing terribly significant. However, I don't know much about series. So whatever that we've got going on. And so that's kind of one of these moments where I'm like, I don't know much about series in astrology. So we go and it's, okay, so this talks about, so this is a tiny planet, a little tiny baby, associated with health, nutrition, agriculture, of course, agriculture, nurturing motherhood, family relationships, and that there's a love of what is simple, natural, wholesome, and what is good for you. Okay, so the reason I mention that is I go and I look at, and I'll share the link that I'm looking at here in the chat room with you guys so that you see it. And if you guys have a question, just feel free to type it in the chat room. Otherwise, I'm just literally narrating. Literally. Oh, I hate it when people say that. I'm just narrating out loud what I'm doing. So I'm clicking this link, and this is the planets today. And usually I do pull up like the Farmer's Almanac. Lou Ellen, my first publisher, they do a lot of really great, witchy, Wiccan, pagan almanacs of different spiritual holidays, things of that nature, so that I can be aware, working in social work, of all the different diverse holidays and celebrations and grievances and things to, be aware of on the calendar. So I try and, put that into the calendar, collective and residual consciousness type things. And then I look at like biological things, new moons, full moons, half moons. And then you start adding in some of the major astrological things. And boy, March, guys. If you're... March. I can't even. What are your predictions for March? Because if you start looking at what I'm looking at and you see what I see, do you see what I see? This is some craziness. Series, baby planet of, I can't put that. Don't put that in there. Series in Libra, opposite. And it's sitting there as you guys look at that. If you go to the day and you look at March 1st, 2023, Ceres is in the astrological constellation of Libra. So it's over there hanging out, trying to be fair, trying to do things fair, trying to make things happen, trying to be diplomatic. And it's facing off with Celebrity Deathmatch, Aries, fucking fire sign, cardinal fire sign with Eris, the small little planet asteroid. Who knows? I don't know. I honestly, and you guys, I have a master's degree working on my doctorate. Okay. Neuropsychology, take you every day of the week. Trivia, yes. Did I take astrology in college thinking that it would be this and it wasn't? Yeah. Almost ruined my GPA. Had to like question my morals to like, what can I do to ace this class so that I still get 4.0? Holy cow, what did I sign up for? Yeah. Do I still know what all of the tiny little baby planets and all the little asteroid belts and what they do? Kuiper this and yes that, and what is neon glow and it's super hot, and what is the zenith of that radius, latitude, longitude crap? Guys, there's more math in that than I want to do in my life. Anyway, buckle up. Steph, Tina, buckle up. Safety seats, safety belts and buckles, bucket seats. That's a cake song. Anyway, Ceres ruling food is trying, man, just think about that. And it's facing off with Aries. It's got Chiron, Jupiter, Venus, Aries, like a whole party. Aries, what do I say? Venus, Chiron, and Aries. So it's diplomatic agriculture and the energy of nurturing, food, fertility, and relationships are facing off with a slew of fiery planets that rule over art, sex, relationships, and really addiction. Let's just say that. Be aware of influences. And the desire, that's in big capital letters, to be in moderation. There's a lot of push and pull. Man, there's a lot of, if you're doing like the 7 laws of the universe, like transmutation, there's a lot of polarity happening. I would say starting March 1st, like in your face. It's already starting pretty heavy. Have you included one of the royal stars into your astrology, like Aldebaran? No, I don't. Because Steph, I feel like that stuff starts getting so crazy that my Virgo brain, I'm already doing like the 12 archetypes times 2 because of the shadow implication of them. So I feel like I'm already looking at 24 times 4 in my head spinning. And if I add more planets, I have to adjust that equation. And I don't want to do that adjustment in my mind. So no, I don't. At this point, I resigned myself to the fact that any day it ends in a Y will be the crap fest. No, not a crap fest and not like crazy double, but like major themes of major life change. Major themes of major life change, like retirement, career shift. You're not willing to pay me what I want. And after taxes come back short and oh my gosh, I can't do this anymore. And the pressures of depression, and not just depression, but like depression of the resources and food and just all of the pressure, the push and pull is going to create change. It's going to create rifts. It's going to amplify itself, but it's going to shift. So it's going to be like you're watching, 2012, that movie with John Cusack, and it's the end of the world. And like you've been watching for earthquakes and now all of a sudden there's a volcano with shooting stuff out of the sky. It's like you have to suddenly be willing to adjust that the craziness is going to come from a completely different angle. And it's all in a lot of, when I think cord cutting, spiritual cord cutting, like, vectoring, you have a 2 points and you're the third point, that you need to know that these 2 points are going to probably shift quite a bit. And lately it's been this one, might be a little bit of this one. Now you're going to have both of them. So being able to utilize your resources and center and ground and not be reactionary. I mean, you're going to be reactionary. You're going to wince and squeeze and that kind of stuff. But to not be so overwhelmed, exhausted, reflective of what's wrong with me? Why do I deserve this? What do I do? Pity party, woe is me kind of stuff that you just have to be careful not to fall into that pit. It's the pit in the never ending story. And if you fall victim to it, it's the swamps of sadness. Artex. Don't let it get to you, Artex. Artex! Can't let it get to you. And that starts on Wednesday morning. Miss Virgo, no can do. Yeah. Oh my gosh, my mom used to sing that song. So that kind of really created a moment in my mind. My mom, when she used to sing, she was in a band, quite popular too, traveled the world, right? And they did that song. And I'm going to have to listen to that later now. So March 1st, write it down. Nothing too huge happening, but that push and pull. Welcome to the polarity. Thursday, Mercury enters Pisces. Communication and messages going in and out begin to flow in an emotional state with fluid filters. So people are going to be talking about their emotions. Talking about emotions is the wave or the vibe. So I would say the ritual suggestion and shadow work for Thursday, March 2nd, I'm going to put listen. I hear a certain song in my head, but I'm going to click over to Pandora and see what's playing because I know that this is about listening. And so I think of like Morrison and paying attention. Seems like the universe is taking a dump on me since November, and I'm diagnosed with anxiety and depression. So that definitely does not. So Rebel, I am someone who, I have had a general anxiety disorder and severe depression in my life. No longer do I struggle with that. But it's taken a series of things to help me deal with it. And I still do struggle with the smaller versions of it, nervousness, worry, things of that nature. But I used to have anxiety so bad that I couldn't function. So I had to figure out, and I remember how freaking stupid I felt too, because I went to the emergency room. I had a toddler, small children, and, that I'm caregiving for. And I think I'm having a heart attack. I'm convinced at this point. I'm an educated woman. I'm been working in psychology. I've been treating people with anxiety and didn't really fully understand what it was. Went to the emergency room thinking that I was having a heart attack. And the person's like, so what's going on in your life? And I was like, oh, my dad has cancer and, this is falling apart and that's going crazy. And I'm in the police academy. And I just finished my master's degree, but I'm doing my doctoral thesis, but I also just did this and that and that. And they were like, okay, well, we're going to run some tests and then we're going to do this. And so they ran all the tests and things and all that stuff. And, ended up diagnosing me with severe anxiety and wanting to give me a bunch of really heavy sedative medications that I couldn't take and operate a gun in the police academy or do things of that nature. So I had to do more. I remember being this isn't anxiety. This is my heart collapsing. This is me puking in the parking garage, not being able to get out of my car because I'm hyperventilating. This is not I'm worried. There's nothing to worry about. I'm doing okay. You know what I mean? I guess I'm worried that I'm having a heart attack, but a lot of central nervous system work, ice baths, cold showers, ice water, diastasis, vagus nerve, inside us all, natural diet, fun hormone, eating better, standing upside down, doing headstands, you name it, a routine, but mostly for me, a purpose. I find that anxiety is uncertainty, the worry of worry, the fear of worry. And so I started working with that, and it took a while, like years, but it got better and better and better. And I can now say, like, and for those of you who've joined me, like for the last 15 years that I've shared my life online, I used to have anxiety attacks live, and I've shared one of them once because I was like trying to go online every night at 8 o'clock. And I was like, for 1 month, I'm going to go online every night at 8 o'clock, and I'm going to do that. And I struggled one night. I was like, I can't do it. And like, there was nothing wrong with me. I wasn't like, right. But I was having an anxiety attack. And I remember just like crying and somebody being like, oh, like, this is what happens to me. And so many people messaged me after that I felt it was really important to share more of it online, because people were like, wait a minute, you struggle with anxiety? And different people, like I remember being at conferences, not wanting to turn down opportunities and things that I was doing for my work and traveling and really struggling. And people come into my room and being like, hey, do you need like a Valium or something? Like, are you okay? Like, what do you need? How can I help you? And people were really understanding to like me just worrying about worrying. Where's my life going? What am I doing? What am I doing here? Am I doing the right thing? Like, what's up? And just my body generally feeling uncomfortable about certain things going on. And also learning in hindsight that it's very intuitive to crazy stuff about to happen. Started having that like right around the pandemic, right around my dad getting very sick, right around things kind of moving in that direction. Carson said alcohol. I actually used to be a pretty amazing alcoholic from the ages of like 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. And then I got sober. Then I became a drug treatment counselor and worked at a women's treatment center. And yeah, that was my drug of choice for self-medicating for a long time. And I would have Captain Morgan with my Captain Crunch, and nobody ever knew. And I knew. So depression, anxiety, all of that stuff, it's absolutely very real. And I tend to, or at least notice the patterns and things. I noticed a lot of it was when I would be away from home, or when I would be in the middle of transitioning my life or life changes, or if I'd be around a lot of electric stuff, like being in a city that has a lot of buzz and a lot of sounds and things like that. So just learning, and then also hormones and drinking good water and all of that stuff. So, but there is an end to it, and it doesn't have to be like a life of medication, because I don't like being someone who feels required to take medication. I kind of have like end of the world anxiety, that like much of what people are experiencing now, that you have to have a medication to live, and you go to your pharmacy and it's not there. So I worry about that, and I try and deal with things in other ways. So, and I've been very lucky that I have found ways to help me. And that's included like learning cool stuff like mimosa tinctures and ghost pipe fungus tinctures and chaga mushroom truffle chocolates, and, just changing things out that help me feel better. And a mindset too, how I talk to myself, music I play, things, people I choose to be around is another important one. So Field Guy says, man, I had doing a live stream once and had a panic attack, mainly just due to see if if I see a roach, I scream like a 12-year-old, like a bug. You were seeing bug. I'm trying to think of like what the big triggers are for me. There's not so many anymore, but it used to, a lot of times it would be like being away from home. I would worry that because my children were younger, and I'd be worried, like, are they okay? Are they going to die while I'm gone? I have a lot of very intrusive thoughts because I work in forensics. So when people ask like, or if you work in social work, or, maybe you work in law enforcement or military soldiers or first responders. If you are around a lot of, pretty graphic, traumatic, highly emotional content a lot, I feel like I have to desensitize myself and kind of dissociate. Otherwise, the way that it affects me is I get very intrusive thoughts that are not my own. And I'll be like, oh my gosh, they're going to choke on popcorn and die. And then people are like, that's ridiculous. That had never happened. I'm like, actually, that happened last week, and, you feel like you have, proof or evidence or experiences that flash in your mind, and they very much are real. So it's kind of just one of those things, again, that to learn how to meditate and contain things when going to work so that you don't get intrusive thoughts. Rebel says, man, I refuse to be medicated and I deal with it. I have moments still, but as a big trigger for me is the depression comes in waves, and it's easier when I have a job. I think that that's another really interesting thing too. I find that as well. The whole devil loves idle hands. I very much am plagued with depression and anxiety as a Virgo, as someone who likes to do, help. If I'm just sitting at home, if I'm just not moving, if I'm sedentary, if I'm, not doing anything, I get very depressed. I get very, very anxious. I get that energy that doesn't go anywhere. And so it just spins inside of you. And I don't like it. So yeah. Ticks, field guide. I would say parasites. I'm going to say parasites. That is my fear. What gives me panic attacks? Ticks, parasites. The idea that if my butt itches and I start thinking, oh my gosh, I could have a parasite, and I get intrusive thoughts that I absolutely do eat sushi. So maybe I have a worm that's crawling out, because I had that experience once with a patient. And people have parasites, and that grosses me out a lot, like a lot. And I have to be careful. So anyway, let's keep moving slightly here. So March, just for tomorrow's show, I can be sure I have something. Thursday is Mercury entering Pisces. I kind of already mentioned that's going to be communication. We'll expand on that tomorrow night. Okay, Friday, March 3rd. Saturn is semi-sextile Pluto, 34 degrees. Aquarius, 34. Capricorn, 34. Okay, so that means you've got Saturn in Aquarius. Saturn is all about rules and boundaries, guidelines, bans, laws, regulations, and the way things go. And this is kind of fighting in a weird little space, in a shared space. 34. It's kind of an interesting number with this Pluto shift coming up this month, guys, is a really big deal. And this is sharing space with Pluto in Capricorn. Lifelong change of routine. Bum, 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 bum. Friday. What's going to come on Friday is maybe the information flowing, maybe the things in the air. Things are going to be shifting in a way that you're going to feel some of that change, and you're going to feel some of that shift. I've got to go over to my, oh, no way. That's the song it's playing. Back in Black. You Know I'm No Good by Amy Winehouse. Do you guys know that song? For I heard your rolled up sleeves and your skull t-shirt. Said him today. Don't know the words. And send me out like I was Tanqueray. Amy Winehouse, come on. Told you that I'm no good. Yeah, that's going to be a really saucy Friday, this coming Friday. Carson, Rebel, share what you feel. Yeah, I could never watch Monsters Inside Me. Someone was like, you should watch that. No. Yeah. I've got, let's see. I'm going to write that down. Is that the dog? Hello? I don't know what that noise is. Releasing. Hello? Balder? We got a lot of weird noises going on around the house, so I'm just going to kind of pay attention to that. Amy Winehouse. You know, I'm no good. Ooh, that's a saucy one. Saturday, March 4th. Let's kind of look at what's happening Saturday, March 4th. Wait. Second, third, fourth. Okay, the moon is in Leo. Facing off with nothing really. Okay, so nothing really. But let's just make sure. Saturday, March 4th, the moon is waxing into Leo. So feelings of pride, fiery ego, identity, and stage presence is afoot. I'll just put that afoot. Okay. Sunday, March 5th. I don't really have anything major written down here either, so it doesn't look like anything major is happening that day, but we're going to go ahead and just take a ganda. Yeah. Okay. Nothing huge. Nothing huge. Oh, you're going to hear the dog bark. Boom, boom, boom. And Rebel says, man, I'm still a learner and that I have no opinion. They do, if it, I see it a lot like light and filters when I'm doing things. And for that, I really, I think it helps me in my photography and perception, right? Saturn can give you a possible important message about the past as it's a last degree of Aquarius. Ooh, Steph, I like that. Let's go ahead and add that in there. Maybe the universe may send a message from the past to enlighten your future. Listen up. Okay. The moon waxing into Leo. I'll be done in a brief moment. I've got coffee ready to start. Sunday, March 5th. Man, I don't see anything happening that day that's like, and surely, you know, I never like to have like a blank day, right? I never like to just have a blank day. But nothing major is really happening on March 5th. If you guys have a calendar that shows you something happening on March 5th that you would like to mention or that I should write down, let me know. I'll do some more tomorrow as I look into it. The field guy says the last victim of the 27 curse. I don't know. There was somebody recently that died that was 27. They were like very young and recent. I think we should take pauses and plan how to move forward with all the new beginnings of all the planets shifting. Oh, for sure. Major pause. So many new beginnings in the month of March. It's not even funny. I'm waiting on the 7th. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge stuff. Spooky fever. I hope there's no scattered glass. Carson says, but what's going on with the 7th? Yeah, let's look ahead. Let's cheat and see. Don't cheat. Don't cheat. No major movements. I'm just putting no major movements on Sunday. And then we go and look at Monday, March 6th. I want to look at that. I'm going to be listening to 2 of my favorite podcasts over the evening. See if they mention anything on these days. Man, Saturn is on the cusp. Saturn and Pluto are both on their cusp, man. Saturn and Pluto on cusp. No major movements. This is just like on edge energy. And I just kind of want to maybe put that. You guys joining me. I love all of your insight. If you have something to add for the 5th and the 6th that you see. Yeah, Steph says that's that full moon, baby, on the 7th. Yeah, it's going to be a pretty crazy full moon as well. The first kind of big movement really of March. And it's going to be that first Monday that we have. And it's, my sign's a Virgo. I'm a Virgo stellium. So that meaning that I have 3 or more planetary and usually side by side or, in continued, but it doesn't have to be. Mine are though. Virgo, 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 and then Virgo later. I have a lot of that placed in my birth chart and in my space. Field guy says, well, I'd like to say if anything goes wrong on that day, I did not do it. What does that mean? That full moon, it's always a day that people are quite emotional because the moon, that drives our emotions, the water in our body. You think about that like metaphorical movement of your tears, your semen, your spit, your blood pressure. Like everything in your body is kind of moving with purpose, with a wave, with a current. And that's not something that necessarily people can see, right? Unless you're like crying or spitting in their face. It could be something that's usually done, especially emotions of that nature, are done behind closed doors. So people might be saying one thing and feeling another. So anytime it's a full moon, it's just high emotion, high liquid life force movement, werewolves howling at the moon, that sort of thing. And so then you think, okay, well, what filter is it in? What is the emotion going to be tinted with? Like if we're going to a restaurant or something. Virgo. Virgo is clean. Virgo is about purging, detoxing, get rid of it. If you don't like it, get rid of it. The worst case Virgo is mommy dearest. That's like the shadow version, the evil witch that will eat you because she's so overwhelmingly nurturing to the point of perfection, and the constructive criticism that nitpicks to the point of consuming you, obsession, the Virgo way. But the Virgo intention is really good, and it can bring a lot of practical cleanliness, organization, that good for this being a new beginning, the official new year, right? Because of the solstice and the stuff happening. This is a great like tabula rasa, like new. Please tell me what cusp me. So like by definition or in astrology, on the cusp, on the edge. In astrology, I guess cusp neurolinguistically, I think of like what it actually means. I believe it's Latin. Cusp, on the edge, on the point of. So in astrology, it's, if you're getting ready to move from one to the next, your liminal line, your meniscus, that point, the line in the sand, I'm looking at my astrological thing. It says because a solar disk will have a diameter of approximately half a degree, it's possible for the sun to straddle the cusp as it moves across the sky. And so astrologically, cusp are like, for example, my sons are both cusp babies. So they're born on March 22nd and then June 21st. Both of those, if some you sit down will tell you that he's a Gemini and some will tell you that he's a Cancer, because it's a Gemican cusp. But on the edge or on the point of change. So Carson, I hope that answers your question. Steph says, man, that Virgo brings qualities of balance. Absolutely it does. So I expect a lot of that to be rolling over into Tuesday, Monday and Tuesday. So let's look at that. Monday, March 6th, that Saturn and Pluto on the cusp. So just on edge energy. Tuesday, March 7th. Dun, dun, dun. A few big things are happening. The first thing actually is that Saturn is going to enter Pisces. This is a big deal. Okay. It's going to be in Pisces until May of not next year, but the year after. So when we talked about rules, guidelines, things like that, it gonna change. It's gonna change starting next Monday. That kind of makes me nervous because it could be the prediction of a new pandemic, a world war, a change, that Africa splits into 2 continents. Like, it could be craziness. Who knows what that means? The rules are going to change. Saturn, the planet of rules, the DMV. You know, you go to Los Angeles and you go to the downtown DMV, Elena, and you get in there and you go, hey, it's always been on First and Main. And they go, oh, no, 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 no. I know it's been there for the last 57 years since it was built. However, they moved. What do you mean they moved? The DMV moved? Yeah, it moved down the way. It moved across town. Well, where did it move to? A good part of town or a bad part of town? Because lately, Saturn, the rules, the quick trip DMV rule maker, heartbreaker of the universe, galaxy, really galaxy. It's been an Aquarius. It's been, did you hear that? Journalism. Is it true? Is it not? False information, censorship, section 230. You can't say that. You say yes, I say no. You say stop, I say go. Woo, yay, red, blue. I hate you. You hate me. Guess what? It's going to change. And it changes into Pisces. And so that filter is, okay, no longer is it going to be wind energy and telephone game and talking and communication. The energy is going to be water. Oh, can you hear the conspiracy theorists now? Water. It's in the water. It's about the water, the life force, what you're putting in your food and your all of that. And so the rules and regulations are going to become emotional. They're going to become very hard to hold on to. They're going to become something that are absorbent, maybe evaporate, but then like actual water issues, like water metaphorically, physically, physiologically, emotionally, psychically, intuitively, water in all the ways. And that the rules, regulations, bans, and guides, and all of those things, fences, boundaries, are going to be water related. Tsunamis, an earthquake, a volcanic eruption, something in the oceans, some huge, who knows, could be the Kraken. Aliens coming out of the ocean, out of the Navy. The sharks are no longer sharks. They've all been submarines. Who knows? But this is kind of an interesting change. And so when do we expect that? It's going to be Monday, March 7th, Tuesday, March 7th, which is also not the only thing happening that day astrologically. What? There's something else happening? Yeah. And something rather big. It's a full moon in Virgo, that full moon in Virgo we were talking about. So it's going to be a very emotional day. What? And it's going to be about purging, detoxing, get rid of it. If you don't need it, get rid of it. We're packing up, bug out bag. If you don't need it, get rid of it. You got to have that. You don't need that. You got to get it rid of it, sell it. A lot of that kind of energy. And so when you see those two things lining up and you take a step back, you can look at it and say, okay, how does this apply to me in my life, me and mine? And you can also look at it in a macro way and say, okay, what does this actually mean for like the nation or the state or the world? Or, what predictions do I want to put out there? And if someone comes to me for guidance or advice, what am I going to say? How do I feel? If someone says, I've just been crying a lot and I can't help it. I've just been feeling over emotional and maybe I should just go to the doctor and get put on a bunch of meds. And you say, hey, calm down. There's a lot going on out there. It is an emotional time. And we're not just trying to be fluffy and say like it's in the stars, but it is in the stars. That everything in your body is going to feel quite shaken and stirred. The emotional language is going to be that you're quite disrupted in all of those areas. So just kind of be aware of the water and how that affects you. Sing a lot of it. Drink it. Cleanse yourself. Baptize yourselves in that way. I would say art therapy, water therapy, ritual suggestions for that's going to be pretty crazy. Self-work, self-care, philotia, paramount. Illuminated is a big part of the Virgo full moon. Some of the themes are be illuminated. Know what the Illuminati, secrets of the Illuminati, but like illuminated, the enlightened, what the light is, the light bringer, the light bearer, yada, yada. But then it would lead us into March, Thursday, Friday. And as you guys know, every Tuesday night at 9 p.m., Matt and I, we do the podcast and we do it a week in advance. I am going to go ahead and finish out the month. I've written in the big thing to happen. I'll give you guys the highlights here real quick that I already have filled in. I've got to fill in like the 8th and 9th. I don't have anything for them. Friday, March 10th, huge Jupiter Chiron portal opening. What a portal? What does that mean? And we say portal because these two things are moving kind of slowly. So if you're like watching something, begin to pass over, it's like, it's beginning. It's beginning right here. And then this is like 2 days later, but like it's beginning. And so when you see that beginning of something, that portal, this unlocking of a certain vibe that's going to shift, it's a lot of healing energy, a lot of fiery, moving forward, leaving the past in the past, abruptly experiencing awakenings of sorts, kind of Friday, March 10th. I would expect a lot of people to have some pretty crazy dreams, maybe some high levels of dissociation, maybe paranoia, maybe hearing voices, maybe silver linings, very optimistic, high, maybe even manic type thoughts. So just kind of knowing how to maneuver through that and see that as it's coming. And this is 2 weeks away. And then the very next day, March 11th, Juno, which is an astrological thing I don't usually talk about or plan about, is entering into Taurus. That's an asteroid of marriage. So it's a home planet of Venus, and Venus is making moves into Taurus this month. Venus is moving, and Taurus is making some interesting shifts where there's just going to be information that's important. There's just going to be, that deep connection, relationship space is going to be important March 11th. And Venus will be conjunct Eris, which is a dwarf planet. Also something I don't usually mention, but because so many little weird things were like popping up in the Farmer's Almanac and things, I thought, I was like, man, maybe it's my time to learn about these and add them more too, paying it my attention. Bold, fiery, courageous energy. Eris is a dwarf planet known as the sister of Mars. And so it's a lot of goddess energy about feminine expression. What does that look like? What do we expect? Mother Earth, a lot of indigenous communities talking about like Mother Earth after that full moon, awakening and crying out and having like tears and crying. What does that mean? Is that going to be like glaciers falling? Does that mean acid rain? Like what does that mean for some of those prophetic statements? Well, we can say astrologically that there is going to be some things happening there that are kind of interesting. Welcoming the feminine need of expression and energy that sends waves of support. Listen to that. Listen to that language and think, I don't know how I feel about that. So yeah. Okay, I'm going to go over to my Pandora and see what's playing. Because again, I'm like, man, what is that? I don't quite know how I feel about that. Let me see how I feel about that. Okay, it's an ad. Of course it would be an ad. It's wanting to sell me ad-free music on Pandora. This song, man, Vance Joy, Georgia. She is something to behold, elegant and bold. It's very Coldplay-like. I think Vance Joy is like trying to be the new Coldplay, I almost feel like sometimes. The lyrics here are very she. She's electricity running through my soul, electric, bold. The Dream Your Life Alive is the name of the song. So, very beautiful song. So I'll mute that and go back and be like, yeah, okay. Yeah. Yeah, I feel that. So I'm just going to put that down. That's going to be part of the predictive space. We're going to put it in the Excel spreadsheet that I share out there with my Gypsy Tribe members. And you guys, if you feel a prediction or you've got some weird synchronicities or you have a Farmer's Almanac that you like to use, share it with me, man. I add this and send it out there. Andy, is that you? Is that my Andy? Man, talk about one of the most beautiful freaking creatures to walk this planet. Andy Ray. If you guys watched, Andy, what was that show you were on that I'm sure people recognize you because she's got a really unique look to her, but then even more so, her energy is wild and fun. So, Mrs., you're going to have to put the name of the I'll butcher it. If you want, of course. I don't want to throw you out there, Andy. Role model, inspiration, woman, crazy. Alt for Norge. That's right. Alt for Norge, guys. If you watched that show, you would know Andy Ray. She's like famous. I'm a fangirl of Andy Ray. Andy Ray. Is that you? It is you. Okay. I want, this year I plan on being independently wealthy. I'd like to have like condos all over and be doing real estate and fun things and research and public speaking and forensics. And as I put this out there to the universe, listen to me, universe, hear me now. I would love to hire Andy Ray to come in and just help me decorate, because holy smokes, you walk into one of her spaces, her living spaces, and you feel like you're on the set of a vampire movie, like your favorite vampire movie, like a castle maybe, or like Bram Stoker's. You don't know, but things are velvety and like mustardy and golden and cool. They're just cool. That just feels cool. Talk about the wild synchronicity of that astrology. The moment you popped in there, talking about Eris, talking about goddess energy, feminine kind of power, but also Mars, Venus and Mars, and kind of that courageous, helping unlock full power, fearless, protective, radical energy. Talk about a revolution. About a revolution. Yeah, that's a spot. And what day? March 11th. It's a Saturday. Why not? Saturday, crazy things happen on a Saturday. And it's followed and sandwiched by Sunday, March 12th. Jupiter will be conjunct Chiron in Aries. That's just a bunch of powerful beings over there rocking out in Aries, which is a fiery place to be. It's all about fire, burning it down, burning down the house. So boundaries shifting. Who knows what that could be? Good God, it could be a smart city. It could be FEMA. It could be who knows. Monday, March 13th, I don't have anything. The 14th is a small moon movement. The 15th is the sun, Neptune, Mercury aligning, and Pisces all together, a huge Pisces party. Pisces party? Yeah, in the middle of the week, it's going to be a huge crying, radical, overly psychic senses. Somebody in the chat there mentioning, talk about psychic dreams being crazy and prophetic. Amp it up. Times 20 for March 15th. And I expect that to be for everyone, not just those who dance in the veil, but those who are creative, have imaginations, who struggle with schizophrenia, drug addiction, a lot of crazy. I would suggest journaling, because you're going to feel like things are spilling everywhere. Things are spilling. So be very careful with containment. Thursday, Venus enters Taurus. Oh, shoot. Friday, Mars is direct in Gemini. Mars finally goes direct. Now, that's kind of a crazy thought, because Mars is the power planet. Mars is like, get them. Mars is like a DMX song. Mars is like, we're doing it. And that's going to go direct. Meaning if you've been avoiding conflict, you've not been wanting to bring that thing up, you've been trying to not throw something into the wind or wreck the car or do the thing, that's going to change. That something, whether it's you or the other thing or the person or the car or the badger or the whatever, it's going to get thrown into the cogs and you're going to have to deal with it. So if you're not dealing with it, the universe is going to be like, guess what, bitch? Dealing with it. And so kind of be ready for that. If you're already a pretty highly sensitive person, it's going to be pretty bamboozling time, middle of March. I would suggest putting on your jewelry, getting your makeup, doing the things that you do to protect yourself, getting your favorite sweater, get your nails done, do whatever it is, tattoo, I don't know. Whatever you put it is to shield yourself, ground yourself, do those extra things. You know, if you're telling yourself, gosh, I really need to get to the gym, I really need to go to the sauna, I really need to be doing this more, do it. Right, Samantha? Another very cool, powerful role model of a woman joining us there. That if you have something in your mind that you need to do, you better do it. And it's going to be important that you do it, because it's highly controlled energy. It's like a demolition, controlled demo. You'd much rather it be controlled and avoid the collateral damage if you can. And shit's going to be going down in March. So be ready for that if you can plan for it. Venus in Aries, the very next moment. Venus is not in Aries. Venus is in Taurus. I got to fix that. Venus is in Taurus, squaring off with Pluto and Capricorn. So This is both kind of cold-hearted, hot and cold, hot and cold, hot and cold. I wrote down relationship, like jump ship. Are you on the ship? Where's the ship going? Can you objectively look at some of these subconscious behaviors and deal with what's going on and showing up and whatever you're dealing with? Pluto, Pluto, Pluto. It's going to be moving, and it's starting to like do the thing, and we start feeling it right around Friday, St. Patrick's Day, when people are drinking all their green beer and losing their shit. It's going to get crazy. Saturday, not a whole lot happens. I imagine, who knows, it could be a blackout. Sunday, March 19th, Jupiter is in Aries, and it's sextile Uranus and Taurus. That's kind of a big day for just throw cocaine and gasoline on the fire. Go ahead and crank up the freezer. Happy birthday, Elina, ahead of time for March 27th. Ted Nugent moment. Burn it down. Burning down the house. This is put gasoline on the fire, like the David Bowie song. Putting out the fire with gasoline. Putting out the fire with gasoline. I'm going to have to listen to that song. That's really the soundtrack. Think of a Quentin Tarantino movie. That is the soundtrack for starting off the middle of March, right there on St. Patrick's Day. And then it's really just going to kind of get crazier after that. Monday, the March 20th, it will be like the equinox. And that's beginning of, for those in the Northern Hemisphere, that's spring. That's the official new year beginning for all of the people planting their flowers and the indigenous community and the animals coming out of their holes. That's the shift from a cold, just don't do it, to it's the spring now, bitches, and it's all out for blooming, fruiting, and getting what you need and living and life. And that's going to be followed by some pretty significant moves. A new moon in Aries for the beginning of spring, for the lunation, the beginning. That's going to be very powerful. Coming right out of and right into pushing over that Pluto. Thursday, March 23rd, is the Pluto enters into Aquarius. And that it takes a while because Pluto is so slow. But that shift, this Pluto is going to spend between 19 and 20 years in Aquarius. So it won't be completely in its like saddled position and stepping on it until actual like late 2024. But whatever these big life changes that people are making, it's going to, if it hasn't already started shaking, moving, you seeing it, kind of already know what I'm talking about. Thursday, March 23rd, Pluto enters Aquarius. So for individuals, for nations, countries, counties, cities alike, Pluto's in Aquarius. It means social structures and politics takes reform, dramatic reform. So that happens, and it's followed by Mars goes into Cancer. So all of our fighting energy goes from being in a fiery space and an airy space to in a water space. So like feeling kind of deflated, not so much wanting to fight, but wanting to reflect. And then the end of the month kind of deflates a little bit, goes cold, goes south, goes sour, goes quiet, goes into like guerrilla warfare. If you think of like he said, she said, reinventing, support, treason, tension, bottled up things, a lot of kind of crazy energy moving into the end of the month. But I would say the biggest thing is that Pluto entering into Aquarius on March 23rd. That's going to be something that, man, if someone's predicting a big movement or predicting World War III or predicting something, upcoming, like Elena says, man, something coming up with the government. What day is it going to be? I would say start thinking about March 21st through the 23rd. Those 3 days are going to be pretty powerful. They're going to be pretty interesting. So a lot of emotions around it, a lot of fiery change and conflict kind of happening afterwards, and right up to before. And you can see it. You can see it in the stars. You can see it in the constellations, and you can kind of play it out. So I find it to be quite helpful. It's why I really find astrology to be my key and connection to spirit, because I can go outside and I can look up and I can see how Mother Nature is kind of preparing for me, how my ancestors have prepared for these moments and known about these moments. And what do we know? Because you want to take the information you know and apply it as best you can to make good decisions. And if we know kind of what's coming, we can just be aware and make moves to navigate in a healthier way. That's the goal, really. That's really the goal of how to use astrology. It's not meant to funnel your path or be suggestive or be an omen, or to fill your brain with ridiculous thoughts. It's really meant to be Elena. I have a cousin, Elena, a friend, Elena. I like Elena. I think the sound Elena the best. Elena. Do people do Elena? Anyway, I'm Sarah, and oftentimes it's with an H or without. That's what people usually say to Sarah's. And I'm Sarah with an H, the biblical Sarah, if you will. I do believe that my website is still up. God, I hope so. I need to repay for my domain name and do all that stuff. So I'm kind of doing the budget thing. But if you guys would like to explore like readings or services or learn more about me, if you're new tonight, I really appreciate you popping in. Welcome. This was just kind of a random me joining in because I was working on my astrology thing. I want to share with those of you who are interested, what does it look like when I sit down to meditate on astrology? It looks pretty normal. It looks like me sitting down and listening to music and having a nice drink and just kind of being comfortable and letting thoughts flow and writing them down, taking the time and attention to do that. And that's it. It's not, channeling or my eyes rolling back in my head or anything like that. It's not scary or demonic or, bloodletting. It's just taking the time and energy to do this. So Samantha, do you still have your Patreon account? I do. And then Patreon, wanted to take like 35% of things, which was kind of combative. And then when I would get banned or reported for spamming I was trying to get my dad a kidney and kind of, the COVID spaces in time. If you said the wrong thing, you'd get reported or shut down because my Patreon was linked to all my social media sites. When my social media site would get shut down, I couldn't really use my Patreon. And I felt like that was not a cool thing. So I don't utilize Patreon at all anymore. And that's sad to me. But still doing readings, still doing the Gypsy Tribe. I actually had somebody, say I should do other forms of things in that way. Like there's all sorts of like even OnlyFans in a non-sexual way is got a little bit lower of a fee rate than some of the other little subscription sites. But yeah, I find like I just really enjoy working with people that come to me for readings. And I really hope that for those of you who do look to expand on stuff, maybe whether it be a birth chart or spirit guides or just having a session to expand on whatever it is you're working on spiritually, please let me know. But you can go to paranormalsarah.com or you can just direct message me wherever you're at, wherever you're at now and let me know. Susie will have to replay this. You're at Scotty's. Much love. Yay. I am not the best, but I appreciate that. Thank you. It is going to be a year of accountability and exposure. Yeah. Yep. And Samantha, thank you so much. I really appreciate in my journey, anybody and everybody that crosses paths or gets to kind of go down the road with me in any way, shape, or form, and I with them is always an honor. And so Samantha and I have worked together before in the past, and she is a fantastic psychic and medium and works a lot with the ITC devices. And man, if you guys, I know that whenever I get back to Missouri, I'm hoping that we can do some kind of a collaboration. And if you guys are in that area, you got to check out Samantha. She does some really cool events and tours and readings and things herself. So, so many cool people joining us and popping in tonight. Thank you guys. Don't forget to share this. You always can. I know it seems silly, but if somebody would like a reading, whether it be tarot or divination or runes or whatever, we can work it out. And I would love to help them, and I would love to see them invest in themselves. And so thank you for that. Anyway, guys, I smell something cooking. Coffee and something else. What is it?
Burger.
What?
Burger.
A burger. I won't eat that, but I will find something to eat. So you guys, I hope you have a wonderful Monday evening. Don't forget to check out paranormalsarah.com if you have questions. And I'll see you tomorrow night, guys, at 9 p.m. We'll be doing the astrology podcast to further delve into it. 7 days, just the next week. We'll break it down. And I'll see you then. Bye, guys.